Hello everyone, this is Locko S, and welcome back to Star Citizen for the last manufacturer day of IAE, RSI, uh, one of the OG ship manufacturers in the verse, and I think it is actually the oldest ship manufacturer in the verse. Plus, it is actually, to a certain extent, one of the very first manufacturers in Star Citizen as a whole. They have built quite a few of the earlier ships in the game, like Constellation series and the Aurora starter ship, which was for the longest while the only starter ship that was available. Plus, I think it's still RSI.com for Star Citizen's main website, so there is that. So, other than that, tomorrow on Sunday, there's going to be a single day Best in Show and Weapons and Armor haul. And that does actually cover FPS gear. So if you want to buy a whole bunch of FPS gear for the winter months coming up ahead, there's a good place to go ahead and buy it. And sometimes tomorrow they do actually sell FPS gear packs to buy, so keep an eye out for that on the web store. As well as the IAE finale, where everything, well, basically for a couple of days after the IAE ends in game, they'll have a rental kiosk here. You can rent different ships, and you'll be able to go to the IAE convention lobby and buy some of the main ship manufacturer shirts there. And again, you'll be able to rent all. I think all the ships become rentable then again for like the last time. And more importantly, those are the last 3 days to buy anything online. So if there is a ship that is not normally on sale, tomorrow, those 3 days are your last chance to buy it with in-game money until the next sale, which would be Invictus 2024, or in-game it would be Invictus 2954. RSI is a very interesting manufacturer. Even though I did say it was one of the first manufacturers in-game and it's one of the oldest manufacturers in the verse, most of their ships are here. Most of their ships are actually in the work in progress stage. So we're going to have a very big holo viewer section to go over today. We're going to go ahead and we're obviously going to go here, work our way around, and then we're going to head over to the Aurora section back here. So keep in mind that RSI, also a lot of these ships are big. RSI, well, it does make the Aurora starter ship. RSI mostly focuses on very large manufacturers. So in fact, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover the Constellation series first. We don't have to go through every single Constellation series ship because they're all very similar. In fact, let's go with the Taurus. The Taurus is my ship, is my Constellation series variant that I own. It is actually the newest Constellation variant. Partially because the back is slightly different than the other parts of the ship. So let's see here, there's our cargo bay switch back here. So the Taurus, as you can see, has this massive long cargo bay. And while it does look like it could possibly hold a Anvil, I believe the Atlas Platform series of ground vehicles, it isn't able to. The Atlas series of ground vehicles just barely doesn't make it, sadly. That being said, it can hold a lot of other ground vehicles in here. So, I haven't tried it with the Scorpion light tank, but I know the Cyclones, you can fit quite a few Cyclones in here. You can fit the RSI Rovers in here, obviously because it's an RSI ship. They kind of made that to be synergetic. You can hold a lot of hover bikes. A lot of different ground vehicles like the small to mid range can fit in here in this cargo bay in the Constellation Taurus. However, its main purpose for the Constellation Taurus is a cargo ship. So this is the extended cargo bay of the Taurus, which of the Constellation series is the cargo and trading variant. So this has I believe like quite a bit more SCU than your standard Constellation series. I believe 174 in total. However, not all the cargo is here. There is actually, in this back little room here, at the very tail end of the ship, a shielded cargo bay back here, so if you have any valuable cargo that you don't necessarily want to be broadcasting, you can stick it back here in this little cargo bay back here. I'll show you what this is normally on other ships, but for this Constellation Taurus, it's a little extra cargo bay. In this little room here, at the tail end of the ship, before you get to that shielded cargo bay, you have a component room with gravity generator, power plant, and the like. You also, in this back cargo room in the Constellation Taurus and most of the other variants, you do have an airlock. And this is a circular airlock that fits the small docking ring size of docking rings. So this isn't like a dock. You can't dock this on a docking collar, but it is a docking ring airlock that you can use. Also, if you noticed, in these little pods up here, this is where the missiles are stored for the missile launcher, for the top missile launcher on the Constellation. The Constellation does come equipped with quite a lot of defensive armament. 4 guns, 1 in each engine cell, 2 turrets, and a whole crap ton of missiles that pop out on launchers from the side and top. We'll talk about the turrets on this version once we get to that area up ahead. But for right now, we have the habitation module here in the middle. Habitation module has 4 beds that are also escape pods, individual lockers, gun rack, a shower toilet combo right here. The toilet combo, I think the toilet and sink have to actually be implemented. This is still an older ship at heart, so they have yet to go back and implement those things. Also, there is a little bit of a couch right here, because, let's see here, you may have to sit down first. Okay. It may have been disabled / adjusted in certain builds, but this is a table that you can actually pop in and out. So that's actually a cool feature. You have a table that you can put away or put up as needed, so it folds away. This is your main airlock to get in and out of the ship for personnel. The cargo bay back there is not necessarily meant for your main access into the ship, but you can use it as such. Once the cargo bay does become full, though, I was going to look over the edge, but once this cargo bay does fill up, there is only a tiny sliver of space along the very edges that you can use to climb up to get on board, so keep that in mind. This is going to be your main entrance and exit to the ship, this little airlock here. Now, I don't think this ship has a dedicated quote-unquote kitchen, but in the future this may become one. This is one of those ships that they designed before they had kitchens as a main thing. Going forward into the bridge, this is the main thing that's going to differ between the 3 base Constellation variants besides the Phoenix. On the Taurus, the lower turret here is a tractor beam turret. So this is where you're going to be able to maneuver around cargo using the tractor beam seat here. The top turret on the Constellation Taurus is a defensive turret with, I believe, 2 sides, 2 guns. And then you have your pilots and co-pilots. The co-pilots can, I believe, use missile operator mode, so they can fire off the missiles while the pilot has focus control over the guns. Although the pilot, I believe, can also use missiles in his main seat. You don't have to crouch, but I do crouch just because it makes the view a little more stable. It's the thing of the Constellation. It's a great series of ship. It does show its age a bit, and they are going to have to do a little bit of touch-up work on it in the future, but it's still a great ship all around. If you want a ship that's a bit more combat-focused, the Andromeda is your best bet. The Andromeda, I just want to go over its differences. I don't want to go through the entire ship tour because I would be repeating myself. But the Andromeda on the front bridge has a lower turret that is also a defensive turret with 2 guns, I believe. So it has 2 combat turrets instead of just 1 like on the Taurus. But the bottom turret does not have utility mounts for cargo beams. This is the cargo bay of the Andromeda, and as you can see, the cargo bay of the Andromeda is a whole lot smaller. I believe this is only 96 SCU of cargo space, and that's all the cargo space you get. It is still large enough to hold the vast majority of smaller ground vehicles. You're just not going to be able to hold as many. Excuse me. And then you have, again, a component bay back here that leads into this smaller section back here, and the Constellation series for both the Andromeda, the Exploration variant, and the Phoenix Luxury variant all have this snubcraft bay here. The Andromeda and I forget what the Exploration variant is called, but the those two have a Merlin, a P-52 Merlin from Kruger Intergalactic, which was on showcase on, I believe, Argo Day. But those two come with a Kruger Merlin for their snubcraft that they can both dock and undock here. And the Phoenix comes with a P-72 Archimedes for its snubcraft. Otherwise, the two front bays are the exact same. It's just that the lower turret accesses a... Let's see here. There it is. Come on. There we go. It's just that the lower turret on the bridge of that one acts as a defensive turret, not a utility turret. Aquila, that's it. The Aquila has a different loadout of turrets too. But otherwise, the Aquila is the same as the Andromeda in internal layout. Again, colors are slightly different. I believe its defensive turret is on the bottom. We're going to pop in and see. Yes. So the Aquila's lower turret is a defensive turret, and the Aquila's upper turret is a scanning and radar turret for doing sensor scans and the like. So the Aquila, like the Taurus, has only one defensive turret. It's just that the Aquila's defensive turret is on the bottom half of the ship. And again, you have a P-52 Merlin Bay at the back for the Aquila. Come on. There we go. As you can see right there. So, we're going to bypass the heavy fighter Scorpion series and the QED, the Quantum Enforcement ship, the Mantis, for the moment. We're going to go over the Phoenix. Now, the Phoenix is a vastly different ship than the other three Constellation variants. Even more so than that the Taurus is from the other two ships, because the Phoenix is a luxury cruise ship. Phoenix, however, does have a front cabin that is very similar to the Andromeda. Two defensive turrets. You have your crew seats up here, as well as your captain's chair, all in nicer leather upholstered chairs. Nice white leather. You have, for the crew, you have your four beds, you have your table, just like your standard Constellation series ship. However, the back is where things get interesting. So as you enter the back of the ship, you actually have, off to the side on this little landing here, two cabins. And they are single bed cabins with their own little aquariums behind the pillow where you sleep, so you can look up when you're sleeping and see a little aquarium. And these are the two passenger cabins, or the two small passenger cabins, rather, on the Constellation Phoenix. Go ahead and close those doors. Heading back from the the front cabins, we have 6 chairs here to look out over the starboard side of the ship. We have a little TV, some books for display. As you can see, you can have a... In fact, we'll sit down here on this outer chair. sit down. You can sit down, chill, wait for the watch the view as the outside scenery passes by. You go exploring different planets. You also have a bar, which has this really interesting marble inlay, or granite or marble. I think that'd be granite. Yeah, that'd be granite inlay. Up there, and also down on the floor kind of spills over, which is pretty unique. And if this looks familiar, that's because this whole setup here, and the constellation of Phoenix in general, is actually what was used. Doesn't want me to do it, move my camera around, I guess, right now. But this whole setup here is basically the inspiration for Jared's set for Inside Star Citizen called The Only Constant. So, Constellation, the only constant in video game development is change, yada yada yada. So this is the inspiration for Jared's set for Inside Star Citizen, as well as his weekly show, Around the Verse, Inside the Verse, all that stuff. So there's the bar right back there. I do believe these are... Yeah, you can't use this for storage right now. But they are... Hopefully, eventually, you'll be able to open that up and to have actual water bottles to distribute. So after the bar, you have this table right here. You have a room for 6 people on this dining room table, and again, another wide view out into the open world beside you. You also have this centerline skylight that runs the entire length of this cabin area back here. And moving even further back, you have the old Constellation model broken up here. And you also have, and also the fish tank, and if you open up this little patio here. Well, this is supposed to actually be a hot tub, and these 2 doors open up, and there's a hot tub you can go into, and you can chill in the hot tub while exploring space. It's a thing. But right now, I do believe it's been closed off for whatever reason. I think it was broken, and they decided to close it off. Close that panel. There you go. You also do have components that are hidden here, built into the walls, so there is that too. But you can also use it as like a dance floor or just like as a meeting area back here while you have the hot tub doors closed. Also, you do have a private cabin back here, and this is, you could say, for the owner of the yacht, a double bed, own window out into the verse. He has a private window out into the verse. No closet space or anything like that here, so there's a bit of a downer. There's also no private bathroom for the crew or the guests back here. They have to use the Constellation's bathroom up there, so kind of a bit of a bummer, but it is still pretty cool. This is a pretty cool party ship for an org. I have heard a lot of orgs want to use this as their their in-game command ship, where they can all get together and have their meetings. It's pretty cool. Access to the cargo bay is through this ramp here. You literally put the button on the floor, and voila, you have access to the ship's cargo bay. This is a truncated cargo bay. This really isn't meant for cargo in so much as this is meant for storing the RSI Lynx rover. So you can have the Lynx rover stored here, and then your guests can board the rover, and once they board the rover, they can then go off out into the world. So there we go. And at the very tail end here, we have more component housings right there. And that is the P-72 Archimedes instead of the Merlin docked here for the Snubcraft. So we're just going to go ahead and exit this ship through here, through the airlock again. I think... There we go. Yeah, sometimes this elevator is a bit, fussy, so do keep in mind that, if you do buy the ship, that is a thing that can sometimes happen to you. There we go. We're standing up. So, those are all the Constellation series. For trading, I do love my Constellation Taurus. It is a larger, it is the largest variant of the Constellation series. But the fact that it has its own tractor beam turret, as well as the fact that it can carry a whole lot of cargo, makes it my personal favorite. It is also probably one of the larger ships that you can reliably man and operate solo. You don't have to have an additional crew member to man the defensive turret up top, but it is recommended. Plus, it makes journeys a lot more fun to have another crew member on a ship that big. We're going to start off with at the center here, and we're going to do a little bit of a loop. In fact, no, we're going to let him go up as we talk about the RSI Scorpion series. So, the RSI Scorpius is the UEE's newest heavy fighter. I do believe the F8 is going to be the primary heavy fighter, but the Scorpius is like a secondary one. For the UEE, Scorpius is interesting because it has 8 size 2 launchers in these little bespoke missile bays that CIG seems to love to use nowadays. I have noticed that they've gone away from the modular missile racks to the bespoke ones for a lot of their ships, but regardless, Scorpius, I believe, has 8 on the bottom and 8 on the top for a total of 16 size 2 missiles. And the pilot actually controls the gun mounts on the wings. So you have these 4 size 2 guns on the wings, and these wings fold out and they form into like an X-wing style shape. And the pilot has control over those guns. But when landed, it forms into this nice, neat, compact shape for carrier decks. Now, if you've noticed, there is actually a top turret right there, and that's because the Scorpius is a 2-seat heavy fighter, and the rear seat is the gunner seat for the turret. You can also, the rear seat could also probably manage various systems as need be, but its primary purpose is to be a turret gunner, because it can't even really help actually identify targets in a dogfight, because you only have these 2 side windows to really look out at, and the pilot will be blocking a bit of your view looking forward. So you're basically going to be managing systems back here and possibly dealing with missiles and the like. So we're going to go ahead and enter a remote turret. And you're gonna, that's just an error right now because you're an IAE and they're going to disable stuff. So you do have 4 Panthers on this single turret, and you'll be able to, obviously as a turret, be able to target things independently of the main pilot. And the cool thing is that, yeah, while it's positioned on the top here, you have this wide firing arc above the ship, but you can, quote-unquote, deploy the turret, and then the turret now has coverage on the bottom of the ship. So you could swap the turret between an upwards forward-facing turret and a lower rear-facing turret. So if an enemy is chasing you, you can swap the turret mode, and you can instead now have the turret facing to the rear and behind to cover your 6. And I do believe those red marks are, on the UI, are like you're basically telling you, hey, you really can't fire too much further out in that angle, so there is that. So that's your RSI. I can't believe I forgot the name of the ship. I don't really use this ship or encounter this ship a whole lot in the verse, so Scorpius, there we go. There we go, Scorpius. That's the RSA Scorpius. I do believe you can deploy the position the turret is toggled in while you're inside the turret mode. You don't have to necessarily rely on the turret. You don't have to exit the view to actually rely on it, to rely on switching the viewpoint. I think you can switch the turret position in the turret view. You just have to have the key binding set up for it. And there's the turret in all its glory. So definitely a two-man ship. You can't fly the Scorpius solo, but you're literally losing half your firepower flying the Scorpius solo. Now, a bit of a divisive ship is the Scorpius Antares. The Scorpius Antares, basically for the pilot, remains the same. The co-pilot, instead of having a remote turret to operate, operates what effectively is an EMP weapon. And as such, it's kind of useless. I mean, having that second person only operate an EMP turret and maybe the ship's systems is not the greatest asset you can have. Now, granted, if you're using this ship as part of a group of other ships and you manage to get this ship close by and deploy the EMP, that'd be a big help. But on its own, having a person dedicated to firing the EMP and that's their only job is going to get boring for them, and I'm not quite sure if you're going to get a whole lot of people willing to do that if it's just you and one other person. So, Scorpius Antares, not the most useful version of the Scorpion. If you're going to get a Scorpion, get the regular over the Antares. Also, the Antares' EMP device, I believe, isn't all that powerful, so it's not even really worth using. Switching from EMPs to quantum jammers, we have the RSI Mantis. This is basically used to pull enemy ships out of quantum, and that's its only job. So that's all it can really do. It does have two guns on it, so it can do a little bit of light combat, but that's not really its purpose. Its purpose is to literally sit out there and wait for people to come. Now, interestingly, for a light combat ship of this size, there are some component bays, and there's actually even a little mini kitchenette. Well, yes. Okay, so that just wasn't playing. I wasn't just playing right. It has a toilet, kitchen, and bed. So, yeah, you can actually camp out in this ship for a while out in the black while you're waiting for your prey to come up. And then once the prey comes up, you can engage the quantum snare, pull them out of quantum, and then engage them. Problem with this ship is once you pull them out of quantum, the Mantis isn't really fit to deal with targets on its own. I believe these are the only two guns it has, and that's it. So you definitely want to buy this ship if you're if you want to have a ship for your org or with other people that you pull other ships out of, pull quantum out of. Go for it. You can be the guy who pulls them out of quantum, and then you have, like, say, a Cutlass or another ship deal with the boarding and combat, with you assisting with combat with your two guns. So it's very much a combat. The RSI Mantis is very much a combat ship, but it's a combat ship that's very support heavy. So keep in mind also that if you pull people out of quantum, that is a crime. So don't go doing it unless you want to immediately get in trouble and then get sent off to in-game prison. So that's the RSI Mantis. Like I said, definitely a good support ship for crews of bounty hunters and pirates, but otherwise it's kind of useless. And already we're already half an hour in, and we've already hit up the vast majority of ships here at the RSI hull that they're available to see. Moving inward, however, we still have one more hull to cover, and these are going to be, the majority of this hull is going to be focused on the RSI Aurora series. So, we already saw the Mantis. That is weird. Usually RSI doesn't double down on their ships, but the Mantis is here yet again. This time it's showing the quantum enforcement device opened up and deployed. So that's new, I guess. Yeah, this is just the Aurora hull, more or less, for all intents and purposes. So, there are 5 different variants of Aurora. Let's go over to the other side. I want to go, I'm going to start with the ES. The Aurora ES, believe it or not, is actually not the starter ship of the Aurora line. The Aurora ES is a very ultra cheap entry-level ship. It is actually cheaper than your standard Aurora starter, which is the MR. But the ES is a starter ship technically. It does not come with your game. You have to buy the ES separately though. It is able to carry 3 SCU in this little cargo container back here. It also has a bed back there. In fact, we'll go ahead and enter it. And the ES's main claim to fame is instead of having guns, it has 2 ballistic guns for its main armament.
Another IAE. Not sure why I keep coming to these. I love going to shows like this. Such a good chance to see all my favorite vehicles in one place.
All right, so you can. There we go. We're just gonna. That door, for whatever reason, isn't opening. Oh well. So all Auroras have the exact same interior. You enter in here. There's a bed back here that you can lie down on.
I think I've seen it.
You have to literally crawl into the bed there. And then you also have 2 little windows. You really can't see too much out of the windows. You have to hold down Z and like go to the very tip, very tail end. You're then just able to see a little bit outside on either side. But you do have windows there. And then to get into the cockpit of your Aurora, you have to actually shuffle past. And there you go. You have you have your 6 little displays there, and you actually have a decent view out of this cockpit. There are a lot of struts, but you still are able to actually see quite a different number of viewing angles out of the Aurora. You have your, and also you have your 2 ballistic guns right there on the nose, nice and tight together. So it's, you are able to get good grouping off of your shots because the guns are so close, at least. And that's the Aurora ES. The ES is basically uses like a lot of like very low-end components, and I don't even believe you even have the ability. You might have the ability to equip a missile on the top and more guns on the wings. But as standard, the Aurora ES, I know it is the cheapest flyable ship in game. If you want to buy a standalone, so if you do have a quote-unquote higher tier starter package and you want a ship and you just want an Aurora just to bum around in and like have it as a small milk run ship basically, you could definitely pick up the ES, and that's good for that. I actually did buy an ES once for because I had at one time they were selling Squadron 42 Gladius starter packs, and that's what I had. I had the Gladius for a starter pack, and so for a while I just had a combat ship. So in order to do trading, I picked up a ES on the dirt cheap, and I loved it. It was a fun ship, but I've since traded it in on another ship here. I'll show you later. The Aurora Clipper is very similar to a whole bunch of other ships in the Aurora line, and it has 2 laser repeaters on the nose for its armament, and the main difference with the Aurora Clipper with all the other Aurora variants is it actually uses this entire bay back here, and you can store and transport 6 SE of cargo in this bay back here. Plus, its quantum drive and other systems are more geared towards longer range. So you can actually go a little bit further in the Clipper than the other variants. Excuse me. Back over here, we have the Aurora Legionnaire. The Aurora Legionnaire has two gun mounts. So there's gun mounts here on the wings and on the nose. And it also has a missile mount up top that can carry a stock. It carries 4 size, I believe those are 4 size 2 missiles. So you can actually have quite a bit of missile armament on a small ship like this, plus a decent bit of gun armament. And that is the Aurora Legionnaire, the combat-focused variant of the Aurora series. The Mark, or MR, is the standard variant. And the Mark is what you actually get when you buy an Aurora starter package. You don't get the ES, which is the base variant. You actually get the slightly improved Aurora Mark for your starter ship if you buy an Aurora starter. And as you can see here, the Aurora Mark does actually have 2 size 2 missiles as it. Sorry, you have 2 size 1 missiles as its missile loadout. So you do actually get 2 size 1 missiles here with the Aurora MR for a little bit of extra firepower. I believe that is the biggest mount. I think the Aurora MR can carry only 1 size 2 missile, so it's a modular mount up there. And again, you have your 2 guns there. The Aurora MR might be able to carry extra guns on its wings. I am not certain, though. Now, the Aurora variant that I have, I went from an ES to an LX, and the LX is the luxury variant, otherwise known as the Aurora Deluxe. The Aurora Deluxe has mounts for comes with 2 gun standard in the front, and just in general, it has higher tier components all around. It has its missile mount are 2 size 2 missiles, so it does have a bit of an upgraded missile payload as compared to the MR. And I believe the LX does have the mounts for 2 guns on the wings. I think the only other one that does would be the Aurora LN. I do think the LX does also have additional gun mounts. Also, it's kind of hard to see here, but the Aurora LX also has a leather chair to sit in, so there is that. The Aurora LX, the only thing that doesn't have that is quote-unquote special or extra over the other ones is it doesn't have the extended cargo bay that the Clipper does, or CL variant. Otherwise, the LX just has general... I think the LX comes standard with better components than most of the other Aurora series ships. And that's it for RSI's ships that are on the ship floor. There are, however, 2 ground vehicles that we have to go over in the lower half, and then we have a whole lot of ships that are in development that we need to talk about. Like I mentioned previously in passing, RSI, CIG rather, sometimes they go by RSI, depending on their marketing and stuff. CIG right now is focusing all of their efforts on the larger ships on the RSI lineup. So I do believe the next ship that they have, so the next series of large ships that CIG plans to make are all RSI ships. So while we are going to have a lot of ships here in the Holo Viewer, they should all be knocked out relatively soon. So here we are now with the at the RSI ground vehicles. There is the Lynx, which is the luxury rover, and then the Ursa, which is the more utilitarian rover. Cabin up here. There's a driver and a co-driver up in this front seat up here. The driver does, I believe, get control of the guns, but otherwise the co-pilot actually can enter the remote turret, I believe. Let's see here. Enter remote turret. So the it does have 2 Bulldog repeaters, but it does actually have, again, really good firing arcs, 360 degree firing arc up above. So you can easily have this ship. You can easily at least fend off air targets at least a little bit with these 2 Bulldog repeaters, as well as provide a decent amount of fire support for the people that you will be deploying into combat, because you can actually deploy a good number of people into combat with this ship. Again, you have your driver, your and your turret gunner slash passenger seat right there. You have your modules back over here, and a little locker for various odds and ends. You do have 2 gun racks for the crew, also here, 4 gun racks for the crew there. And you also have these little seats right here. So you can either have people sitting down here in these little fold-out seats, or you can close the seats and use it to actually put down mission boxes here in the back of the RSI or URSA. So you have the option for either people or seats for the URSA, and you can then this is probably like a good configuration right here, because you can have 2 people to do the box missions, and then when they come back, they can pick up the boxes and put them right there. Plus, also all your other loot and armor that you're pulling off of people, you can like drop right there in the URSA. The Lynx has a very similar layout. Passenger controls the remote turret. Driver drives around and can control the turret in a pinch. But otherwise, the Lynx, its backseat is not meant for carrying like a whole bunch of people, and it's not meant for carrying like a group of people on a mission. It's basically a touring vehicle. There are 2 seats back here. They have these beautiful luxury windows all around to see out of, and while they watch the scenery drive by. Plus, they have a little shelf here for all their fancy doodads, some champagne, a wine bucket, some guns, and stuff back here for components over here for the crew if they need to defend the occupants here. Plus, again, little shelves for little doodads and knickknacks, and I do believe the seat... Okay, the seat doesn't rotate, but it can if it wants to. Plus, also, you have this little table here that they can place little hors d'oeuvres, little appetizers for people so they can eat while the view goes by them. And this Lynx is meant to go with the RSI Phoenix as the again as the luxury touring variant. To keep your clientele safe as they go touring around the verse, they do have these 2 guns here that the Lynx can use to defend itself. That I mentioned previously can be controlled by the passenger, the quote-unquote passenger seat. Nothing there on the other side of RSI. So that was with the Lynx, and the Lynx being our last ground vehicle, or in general, like Star Citizen vehicle that we have to explore in the verse. We now get to the holo viewers in the back, and like we saw, there are a whole lot of RSI holo viewers. Again, these are now because these are larger ships, they are going to take quite a lot of time to get into the verse. However, once the first one is finished, the next one should come reasonably fast for as the size of the ship they are. Starting off with the Perseus, this is a ship that I've always considered getting, but it is kind of expensive, and I have other things and other projects I want to work on, so I'll wait until it's a little bit closer to being released before I maybe consider picking up on a concept sale. The Perseus is a giant gunboat, basically. Those are 2 size 9 guns, I believe, or 2 size either 7 or 9 guns. And there's a pair of turrets on top and on the bottom. And the Perseus' whole goal is to basically slug it out with other large ships and take them out with gunfire. So it's supposed to be a bit of a patrol boat, targeting larger ships. The Perseus does have 2 Sea-Wiz turrets, however, as evidenced by, and this is I believe it has at least 2, if not, it has this one Sea-Wiz turret up here that is supposed to help defend it against fighter-sized targets. So you can shoot down small vehicles, but its main purpose is to go against larger ships. with its two twin turreted large ballistic guns. Next up on RSI's lineup, we have the Zeus Mark II ES. I did look into. I was considering buying this, but again, I have other projects and other things I want to actually do in real life. So figured I didn't pick this up. But this is supposed to be a Crusader Spirit competitor, basically. Very similar in layout and size. It was just announced at this year's CitizenCon, and they claim at the very least that the RSI Zeus Mark II should be in-game next IAE. So by this time next year, the Zeus Mark II will be on the show floor, and I do believe at the very least they should have possibly 2, if not 3, of the Zeus Mark IIIs, of the Zeus Mark IIs on the show floor. So expect the show floor to get quite a bit busier for RSI next year because of that. Next up, we have the RSI Galaxy. This was another ship I believe they announced last year. The RSI Galaxy is supposed to be a large multi-role vessel with interchangeable bays. Some of them are focused on medical, some of them are focused on cargo, some of them are focused on mining. There's also supposed to be apparently a Galaxy Bay focused on outpost construction, but we'll see about that. Otherwise, it is a large multi-role ship. Again, it's one of those larger ships that your mileage will vary, and you're definitely going to have a crew to man it or make use of it, so keep that in mind. And the Galaxy has not been announced for production anytime soon, so don't expect this ship to be out anytime in the next year or couple of years. It's a newer ship, and they do have a whole bunch of older RSI ships to take care of. Just see how many RSI bays they have here for hull of viewers. It's pretty crazy. Next up on the RSI ships is the RSI Arasta. This is, again, another large RSI ship. The RSI Arasta is supposed to be a large mining ship that sits in between the Orion and the Mole. So it's a large mining ship. If you love mining and are part of a mining organization, this might be something you might want to consider picking up in the future. But while mining is fairly well fleshed out at the moment, this ship literally just dropped this IAE, and the fact that they're probably working on more RSI ships in the future, don't expect this to come out for even like 2 or 3 years. This is going to be another one of those ships that sits in the hull of viewer for a whole lot longer. So yeah, don't expect this ship to be out anytime soon. Now, a ship that is supposed to be out relatively soon, that is bigger, is the infamous Perseus. This is a torpedo boat, whereas the Perseus deals with large ships with guns. The Perseus deals with large ships via torpedoes. It also has a fighter bay to service fighter craft. But its main purpose is to engage larger ships with of large volumes of torpedoes. Plus, it also has a decent number of turrets to target and defend against fighter-sized craft. Thing to note about the Perseus is this is actually of all of RSI's larger ships that they have concepted and released over the past couple of years. This is the one that they are claiming that they are working on next. So, will it be done in time for next year's IAE? I am not certain, but the hope is that this is done sometime next year, and then the Perseus. After they're done with the Perseus, they'll tackle another large RSI ship, and they'll keep on tackling large RSI ship one after another. So, for fans of the Perseus, this ship is indeed coming up hopefully within the next year, and hopefully next year at IAE it'll be in person and not in a hull of viewer. Lastly, we have another ship done by RSI, and this one's a bit of a smaller RSI ship. This is the Apollo. This is the RSI Apollo. This one in particular is the triage variant. I believe I have the medevac variant, which is I think I have the medevac variant. I know I have an Apollo. It's been a while. This ship was concepted a long, long time ago, and it's the Versa's first larger medical focused ship. Um, Unlike the Cutlass Red and the the Pisces, the medical Pisces variant, I think the C8R. The Pisces is one of CIG's first dedicated medical ship, and it's CIG's first small dedicated medical ship. So this, even though medical gameplay is in, they really haven't said anything about when the RSI Apollo will be in our hands. They were working on the concept a while back, but I do believe the next thing that has to happen before the Apollo becomes available is drone gameplay. I think we need drone gameplay in order for the Apollo to work, because the medical beds on the Apollo are supposed to be remote controlled. So you're supposed to send out the remote controlled beds to pick up the patients, and then they're supposed to return back and dock, and then you're supposed to heal up there. So that's the full functionality of the Apollo. Will CIG give us the beds without them being able to be used as drones? I don't know, but we'll see. So that is RSI today here. There we go. In fact, we could probably get a... That's a good view of the ship hull. So that's it for IAE. Tomorrow they are going to do weapons and armor. So tomorrow, have fun. Come here. I will be coming tomorrow to see what kind of weapons and armor they have on display. Sometimes they have rare-ish armor and weapons on display, and then you can just buy a whole lot of FPS gear then and there. As well as the ships that won the Best in Show, you'll be able to see them in their Best in Show paints. And then the IAE finale is where we'll be able to rent out various ships within the game. So that's it. That is the last ship manufacturer of the show. We survived another IAE, more or less. I will say next year is going to be interesting. I do believe next year, they haven't released a lot of their plans, other than the fact that I do know that RSI is going to have at least the Zeus series. If not, they're going to try to also have the Zeus and the Perseus available for us to fly around. So hopefully the RSI hall will be a little bit more filled out. Crusader, I do believe Crusader has all their ships in, other than the hopefully Tumbrel next year will have some of the more Tumbrel land bikes. That'll be cool. Origin might have finally, hopefully, eventually, the 600i rework done, as well as the Origin ground vehicles. Other than that, there really isn't anything of a note. Oh, and I think we know next patch we're getting the Apoa Santokiai. So that'll be another ground vehicle. Oh, and that's right, Origin. I forgot. For next IAE, Santokiai for Apoa should be in. And then Origin Jumpworks' X1 series should also be in. So some more of the... So hopefully next year, more of these smaller manufacturers will have their hulls filled out. Hopefully RSI will get their big manufacturers in for next year. But other than that, that's it more or less from IAE. It's crazy, crazy year for Star Citizen development. Hopefully next year will be even more crazy and actually full of content as we get server meshing online. And I will say this has been LockOS signing out from RSI Day. I will show up for I will cover Best in Show. I might also cover one random day of the finale, just to showcase what that's like. But yeah, other than that, this has been LockOS signing out from Star Citizen.